God loved Noah. Noah had been faithful to him his whole 500-year-long life. And he loved him for it, and he favored him because of that. Now, at 500 years old, Noah and Mrs. Noah decide they're going to have a family. So they have 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And one day in prayer, God comes to Noah and says, Noah, I want you to build me an ark. And Noah goes, excuse me? A what? He says, I want you to build me an ark. You know, a big boat. And he goes, but God, we live in the desert. What are we going to do with a giant boat in the desert? He goes, well, it's like this. I have become sorry that I created mankind. They have become so evil and so into themselves and filled with war and hatred and their own little petty things that it's contaminated the entire world. I'm going to wipe out everything. And I want you to build me an ark because you and your family are going to be saved because you have been faithful to me. And Noah goes, but they'll think I'm an idiot. They'll think I'm crazy. They'll say, oh look, Noah's folly. And then Noah got a hold of himself. And he remembered that everything that God had ever told him that would happen and bless him did. And he said, okay, God, I'll do exactly what you say. How do you want this to go down? So God says, well, this is the way I want the ark to be. I want it to be 500 feet long, 90 feet wide, and 55 feet tall. And inside there are going to be 3 floors. One for you to live on, and one for the other 2 for animals to live on that I will bring to you to save them, because I'm going to bring a great flood on the earth. So Noah worked on that ark for a better part of 100 years. He pitched it inside and out with tar so that it would be sealed and it wouldn't leak when it went on the great water. And his sons grew up to be men, all in the shadow of this ark and this giant project. And they took wives. And Noah said, well, to God, here's your ark. I think we're done. And he goes, okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring to you animals, male and female, a pair of each, from all over the world. And they're going to come and they're going to live in this ark with you when the great flood comes to the earth. And I'm going to wipe out, because I am so sad, he said to Noah. I am so sad that people have done this to themselves, that I don't want to have anything else to do with them or even the creatures that are on the earth that associate with them. So I'm going to wipe it all out. And so the animals came one by one. And he loaded every kind of animal on. He loaded every kind of food that every animal liked, that needed for its own food. And so after that happened, and he had loaded it up, God said, now, Noah, it's going to rain. Take your family in. And they went in, and God sealed them up in the ark. And then they waited for 7 days. Not a bit of water. They're sitting inside of a hot ark. God said, build a roof on it. So they built a roof over it, so it came over the edges, just a cubit higher than the edge of the ark, which was about this much. So you could barely see when you opened the windows. It was hot and steamy and stinky. You can imagine a whole ark full of animals, what that's going to be like. And oh, the noise. So, wham, wham. So what happened next was they heard a splop. And then another splop. And then the windows of heaven opened up. Greater rain than they'd ever seen. And it rained for 40 days and nights. Just that hard. And then all of the oceans began to belch up from the deep caverns more water. And then all of the lakes came up, more water. And all of the rivers cracked open with more water. And it covered the face of the earth. Every bit of the earth, even to 27 feet higher than the highest mountain. Higher than the billy goats could go. Who tried to save their lives climbing to the top of the mountain. But they were all drowned. And that was all destroyed. After 40 days and nights, it stopped raining. But the ark floated on the water for another 150 days. And then God decided he wasn't mad anymore. And he wasn't sad anymore. He said, oh, God, remember Noah. So he blows on the water, and the waters begin to separate. And the water begins to recede. And the boat begins to slowly, the ark begins to slowly settle. And Noah sees in the far distance some mountains. He says, I'm going to send out a raven and see what happens. So he sent a raven out, and the raven flew away and flew around the mountain and never came back. Noah was like, okay. So he waited, I'll wait 7 days. So he waited 7 days. And then he sent out a dove. And the dove came back in a little while and says, well, there must not be any dry land yet. Then he waited 7 more days. And he sent out a dove again. And then a little later that day, the dove came back and had an olive leaf in its mouth. And Noah and the crowd inside, all of his family, were so excited they could hardly stand it. That means dry land. We're going to get out of this boat. We've been in here 7 months. Ah! So he waited 7 more days and sent the dove out again. And this time the dove did not come back. So the waters continued to recede, and the boat began to sink. And then it settled on the mountains of Ararat in Armenia. And Noah looked out the windows and realized that there was still water around the base of the boat, even up to the mountaintops. He said, so we'll wait a while longer. So as the water receded and the earth began to dry out, God then said, Noah, it's time for you to leave the ark. It's time for you to go out and replenish the earth. So they opened the ark up, and the animals came out in families. They'd gone in as a pair and came out with more of them. And they left in families and went to parts of the earth all over and repopulated the earth with all the animals that had been saved. Even the creepy little bugs that we all hate, and snakes and rabbits and everything. And they repopulated the earth. And Noah and his family came out of the ark, and they were so happy to be on dry land. They'd been in the ark a total of about 8 months or 9 when it was all said and done. And Noah built a great altar, and he took 7 clean animals and slaughtered them and burnt them on the altar, and 7 birds and burnt them on the altar. And God came to him and says, oh no, that incense is so sweet to my nostrils, that you have been faithful to me in all this way, and waited all this time in this ark, and I've brought you to this place. I'm going to make a promise to you that I will never ever destroy the earth again with water. And this is what's going to be the sign for it. When you look into the sky after a rainstorm, and you see a rainbow of colors above, that will be a reminder to me and to you that my promise is that I will never ever destroy the earth again with water and flood.